For more than a century, 8th of March has been observed as a significant day for women. Every year on this day, the world marks International Women's Day to celebrate the achievements and contributions of women in all aspects of life. At the same time, the day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity, create a gender-equal society where both men and women enjoy equal opportunities, equal choices, equal capabilities, equal power and equal knowledge as equal citizens. So as the world witnesses a rapid technological transformation today, what opportunities is it offering to women and girls? Is the digital world being shaped on an equal footing? Bringing attention to this is the United Nations theme this year, DigitALL, which means digital for all, innovation and technology for gender equality. The aim is to recognize and celebrate the women and girls who are championing the advancement of transformative technology and digital education, and also explore the impact of the digital gender gap on widening economic and social inequalities. So what kind of progress has been made towards ensuring that women benefit from digital revolution? Also, how is India bridging the digital gender divide? That and much more on this special Women's Day edition of Perspective. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teena. I'm delighted to have with me today an illustrious panel. So let me begin the program by introducing them to you. We have with us in the studio Dr. Surabhi Pandey, Assistant Professor, IIPA New Delhi. Dr. Pandey, welcome to the program. Next to her is Ms. Sonal Jaitley, Global Lead, Gender Equality and Social Inclusion Practice, Microsafe Consulting. Ms. Jaitley, thank you very much for joining us on the program as well. And joining us virtually is Ms. Priyanka Wadhwa, co-founder, Comms Credible. Ms. Wadhwa, thank you very much for joining us on this edition of the program. Let me begin the program today, in fact, with you. I was going through the website of your company and it says, story matters, partnership matters, ownership matters. The first question to you is, how much does gender equality matter at Comms Credible?
I think gender equality is really paramount for the entire workplace. And I also think whenever there is a gender equality within a company, the performance of the employees and the individuals is exponential. And because the skill set that a woman brings on board is very different to a skill set that a man brings on board. And we at Comms Credible, we have always, respected every phase of a woman's life. And we have, incredible employees in our company who have been pregnant in the company and who have conceived in the company. They have delivered their babies in the company, and still they have been part of the company till date. Why? Because we do have a system wherein, we kind of make smaller groups in the company. So whenever there's a need or there's requirement that a woman is in the need of taking the back seat because of the phase of her life, so we have males or maybe, younger generation taking the front seat and managing the clients facing. And they can, the women can manage the, the mothers, I may say, or, women who are wanting a little time off, they can manage the back end in the company. So for us, equality means everything at Comms Credible.
Ms. Jaitley, I'll come to you. The women's movement for equality started over a century ago. The good thing is that the world today has begun to take note of the fact that women are talented, they possess skills and, to provide them equal opportunities. But even over a century later, we are happy with the fact that, we are getting maternity leaves. We are, being recognized for the kind of work that we are doing as opposed to our counterparts. So the first aspect is, even after a century later, equality remains an unfinished business. And the second aspect is, this is in the physical world, in the digital world, in this age of digital technology, where the world is witnessing a phase of rapid transformation. Does that physical disparity also reflect in the digital world?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And I would say without a doubt, absolutely yes. Because even after 3 decades of the birth of the internet, we see that across the globe, more than 1 billion people are still unconnected. And when we know that digital is the new frontier of progress, we cannot afford anyone to be offline. So we have created a world of digital haves and have-nots. And unfortunately, women are still, the highest category of that have-nots globally, not just in India. And if we see in India, there is a big digital gender gap. Women are increasingly owning smartphones, but women are still, 30% less likely to own smartphones than men. Women are less likely to use smartphones for their benefits, for their businesses. So yes, absolutely, the digital gender divide has been replicated, from the physical world to the online world as well.
So how can we, lessen that gap is something that I'll come back to you in just a moment. But Dr. Pandey, if I may come to you and understand, when we talk about economic growth, we say financial inclusion of women is important. Yeah. So when we talk about digital growth, how important is it to empower women and include women digitally also?
So especially in today's time when we're talking about this, gender disparity or gender inequality, and coming to this digital divide where the men and the women can equally access this all technology together, and somewhere technology helping us developing the socio-economic development of any nation. And when it comes to the nation, it is empowering women and women with the economy. If our economy or a women empowerment economy emphasize, then it comes how technology we are unable and how our women are accessing this technology. And probably, today, whatever discussion which is going on, I could make out, maybe why discussing today this inequality in terms of maybe the women's are not in that STEM part, science, technology, engineering part, or maybe are we, when we're talking about entrepreneur, I think women's are coming up in this category also, because entrepreneurship is adding to the financial inclusion, adding to the economic development, and again adding to the women economic development also. So probably a lot of steps are also required. As a professor, I think a lot of steps required where the women are also entering into this entrepreneurial things, R&D things. When we're talking about the patents and other things, are we also moving into that direction, certain kind of a support or a policy making into this direction? Probably in G20 2017, we were talking about, this is the main agenda where we're talking about digital divide and gender equality in this, one of the focus area. And in today also a lot of, policies and other things incline in this direction, that how women can be empowered in the economic development of a nation. And therefore in India also we have a lot of policy which is, governing in this direction, whether it is PM Disha or Mission Shakti. So a lot of, initiatives started taking place, and now you can see with the generation like this, where we're talking about, this technology generation or a computer-born generation, right? They are actually moving into this direction. And I think today we all four, born with the technology and working a lot in this direction. So probably we can also take it forward, talking about women empowerment and economy.
Okay, Ms. Madhva, Dr. Pandey just spoke about how we are blessed to be born in this technology generation. We're able to reap the benefits that this technological revolution has brought about. How has technology changed your lives, your work areas, and how do you think it has emboldened women to think big and not just aspire, but make it a reality?
Yeah, so I work across lots of industries because being part of Prompts Credible. So there is an NBFC that we work very closely with, Sumya Finance, and they are the only 100% credit financing company, and 98% of their clientele is rural women, which is very interesting for me, because when I see and when I ask them that why is it that it's only the women that you're giving credit to, that too digitally. So they said because women are actually, they don't default as much as men do, and they are very particular about their profession, and they're very particular about how they have to expand their profession, and they are interested in building their own credit history. They are interested in building their credit history so that tomorrow their son can get a loan for their education. So I think the foresight that a woman carries for the entire family, and the amount that she earns is majority spent towards the upgradation of her family. This is what I've understood working across all these industries. And I think a lot of initiatives that have been taken by our government, like, digitization in India, Digital India, and, reaching the last mile, like the finance minister said. And the good part is that she's herself a woman. And with India aiming to achieve a physical deficit of, I would say, 4.5% of the GDP by 25-26, which is currently pegged at 6.4%, And even though we performed really well after, COVID, but there were several other factors like Russian-Ukraine conflict that triggered the inflation. But still, India has been quite self-sustained compared to other countries. So I would like to highlight here that it's a very good move by the finance minister as well, that where she's wanting to include the last mile. By that she means including the women, the minorities, the farmers, and all this is possible because of the great initiatives that our government has taken when it comes to digital payments, digital credit financing, and when it comes to repayment of your loans also digitally, and giving the power in the hands of the women, because women are the key spenders in a family. So that is going to make India a self-sustained economy. We already see a lot of push digitally within the urban markets, I would say. But with Instagram, social media, a smallest thing like a woman being good in cooking, so that also helps us her to have YouTube channel, where she can teach cooking. And then after that, she can be an influencer. So you really don't need to be a celebrity to be an influencer. You can be an influencer in your own small rural community. So I think Digital India gives women economic empowerment where they can take their financial decisions. And I also feel digitally, you can work at your pace. You can balance work life. And as a woman, you are not obliged to step out of the house in case you're hesitant to, because you can have your own fan following and you can get paid through these platforms because of your. So I think digital is the right way for the financial inclusion and sustaining the GDP targets that the
very rightly said. The fact that a lot of women in India, they lag behind because they're not able to muster the courage to step out. So digital provides them the option to stay within their comfort zone and do what they are best at. But Ms. Jaitley, if I could come to you and understand once again, all of these factors in the physical world which create or which sort of enhance gender disparity could be access to opportunities, equality of opportunities, and the kind of biases, stereotypes that we women have faced. I'm sure all of you would have faced some kind of discrimination or the other at your workplace. Digitally, what are the kind of gender biases that women could face in India and abroad, which could make internet not a very viable or a safe option for them?
Yeah. So I would say that with the caveat that digital brings a lot of opportunities, especially for women's entrepreneurship, and because Microsafe works in more than 13 countries across the globe with low-income women entrepreneurs, we know that digital is revolutionizing women's access to finance, markets, etc. But as you rightly said, it is also replicating many of the physical inequalities in the digital world. So for example, when we look at the future of work, we see that majority of gig economy workers, when you look at women workers, they are concentrated in the gender stereotyped professions of beauty, care, and domestic services, etc. However, they're not equally represented in more high growth industries and high growth sectors in the digital world. So that is what we really need to address, because we cannot afford this universe of opportunities not being utilized by women workers. And we're already seeing that for women entrepreneurs, digital actually lowers the barriers for entry, because you don't need a physical unit. In the physical world, you're constrained by safety, mobility, and multiple other time constraints are very huge for women. Women face a huge time poverty in their daily life. So all of these constraints are not there in the digital world. They can start to access markets right from their home where they're making their products or deliver services online. So it brings a host of opportunities, but we have to be careful that the inequalities of the physical world are not replicated online, as we're already seeing they are.
Right. So a lot of opportunities, Dr. Pandey, but we are all aware with a lot of opportunities come a lot of risks also. Yes. And I think online safety going forth is going to be, and is in fact, even in the present times, posing to be a serious challenge for governments worldwide. So while we've seen in the last few years, our government has taken a lot of initiatives towards ensuring that, and towards making rapid advancements in digital inclusion, in financial digital inclusion also, in terms of access and affordability of not just equipment, but also internet. So it's been a remarkable story. India's digital story is something that is being talked about globally also. But at the same time, what we have to step up and do is to ensure that it is a safe place for women. Absolutely. Where they feel protected, they're not harassed, they do not feel any kind of threat when they are using the internet. So what are the steps that you think we need to take and timely to ensure that it's contained?
So I think wonderfully you portrayed everything. But today we're talking about digital and women, right? And all over the statistics, whatever we discuss, it's lesser women as compared to the men when we're talking about internet access or the mobile accessibility also. Nevertheless, but we cannot forget one part, that this digital campaign or the digital or internet or a network provides a wonderful opportunity to the women that with anonymity, you can express your things. In this cloud world, you can start doing so many things, and therefore you can see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of cloud business has started where women are taking an initiative. When women are taking initiative in this anonymous world, definitely this anonymous cyberspace comes with a lot of safety, security, and the challenges also. We're talking about the challenges in this. Yes, we have a lot of cases where we're specifically talking about the cyber crime against women and child, where there is a cyber bullying, there's cyber stalking, morphing. So many such cases are going on, which is there in the physical world also. It's just the platform has changed from physical to the digital. But where there is anonymity, freedom of speech, working beyond that network, it's not just the nation, across the world you're working and talking, and women support women. A lot of things which come up in this digital world, which is not there in the physical. Looking at those opportunities, yes, there are different challenges. To address the challenges, we're talking about different safety and security measure. Again, being in the public administration, definitely I'll talk about the schemes which government has taken an initiative. They come up with various schemes focusing on the cyber security, the cyber crime against women and child. We have a particular scheme covering how we can protect the women and child who are in this digital world. We are also taking a lot of steps where we can spread a lot of awareness when we're talking about cyber jagrukta and awareness. If something is happening in this bullying or morphing, you can report it and we can address also. But when you're going in this digital world, in an anonymous world and talking to anyone, you also have to have certain that digital literacy. Right. That digital literacy is very important when you're stepping into this world, and therefore we're discussing about digital literacy with the gender equality also. So accessing internet, having mobile, coming on this platform, literacy in terms of the skill set and everything is also important. Government is taking initiative, but I think it is a shared responsibility of an individual woman and everyone to be very secure in this digital medium. If you're accessing, opening up your own speech, coming up with your own, avenues, a lot of things are available, right? You can see in the COVID time is the time where every world has gone online from education, and where we important giving a lot of education in the rural areas with the mobile and internet and everything. And that is the time where everybody is accessing this, enhancing the digital literacy towards this. And other side is the crime. So we learn that how to handle those things also. With the government intervention, with your own awareness, I think we will able to manage those challenges also.
Let me take that point of shared responsibility to Ms. Wadhwa. Ms. Wadhwa, Dr. Pandey spoke about how we cannot just expect the government to bring about the transformation. As a young country, we all have it, the onus is also on us to, see the kind of change and bring about the kind of change that we would like to see in our country. So you must have heard, it said that alone you walk 10 steps, together you walk a mile. As privileged individuals who have, digital literacy, who have the benefits, how do we ensure that it percolates to the last person standing in the row?
I feel that community building is a very good aspect. I would like to
a couple of startups that are working towards this. So, these startups, they try to build community for the rural India extensively and trying to bring the women together. And one of the reasons why they are trying to do this is because they feel that there are lots of schemes that the government is floating, for the digitization front and even for the MSME or, having women and youth being part of this drive completely so that it, boils down to the entire progression of the society. So what happens, this community building, these are kind of apps. And as we all have become so digital savvy, as and when the mobiles get cheaper and people are able to afford, so what's going to happen that these applications they can download and they can be self-aware of all these schemes that are being floated around, and they can go and ensure to register themselves for these schemes and take the benefit from it. Usually what happens is that, it's like Chinese whispers, because right now the right kind of community is not established. So here you can also ask questions that are relevant to your business or your MSME. We as women, we are, finding in our own community. I mean, as small as I would say that, what is going to be the weather forecast for XYZ area in India. So, people can share what is going to be the forecast. So the community building using the right pesticide and, using the right products, this is really going to help to enhance. Now, all this is possible by having cheaper mobile phones, A. Second thing I would like to highlight is all, getting the internet connectivity. And also the government has taken steps like getting UPI Lite into India for the digital payments, which can work offline to make payments up to a value of, say, 2,000 rupees. So there are steps the government is taking towards the financial inclusion and digitization, I would say, which women will get trained on, and companies are working towards it.
Okay, Ms. Jaitley, when we talk about women empowerment and in the physical world especially, we tend to confuse between equality and equity. So when we talk about equal opportunity, we ask for it because we believe that we deserve it. Not because, I am a woman and the opportunity is being given to me because I am from the other sex. That further creates that disparity between the man and a woman. So when we say women empowerment, it is not giving me an opportunity out of turn. It is giving me an opportunity because I have the skill, I have the talent. So in the digital space also, to ensure that this kind of disparity does not carry forth. So a woman who's talented, skilled, gets an opportunity because she completely deserves it and not because she's just a woman, as I just said. So how do we ensure that that disparity is not, carried forward into the digital transformation also?
Yeah, that's a very complex question, but I'll try to answer that. So I think what's most critical is to ensure that all programs, products and services, whether it's government's program, products and services, or it's the private sector, there is equity in how we are ensuring access, use and benefits of those, and how we are looking at the gender outcomes of those products, programs and processes. So across organizations who are providers of digital services, we have to ensure that we look across the continuum of access, use, benefits, and how all of that is then translating to actually gender outcomes and increasing women's well-being. So that is very, very important, and a very sort of useful example of that is the Government of India creating the digital public infrastructure. So, in the G20, of course, this is one of the biggest studies. There is a lot of research now that says that a robust digital public infrastructure, which is affordable and safe, actually helps the weakest link in the line the most, because you're enabling and democratizing access of digital for everybody. So when it helps everyone, it of course helps women as well. So we need to ensure that equity is followed across this continuum. and women can benefit from digital assets and the digital revolution.
Not just women. In fact, it's also the other way around, Dr. Pandey. The United Nations has put a number. It says that because you leave the women out, you don't include them, you suffer huge economic losses. And there have been numbers put to it also. So if you exclude them from the digital ecosystem, the United Nations says the world, and especially the developing countries, could lose an amount of about $1 trillion by 2025. So something needs to be done in this less time. Perhaps because India is, the host of G20 this year, and we've taken a lot of lead in how we become the voice of the global South, which comprise of a lot of developing countries and the less developed countries. So how can we ensure that we set an example when it comes to equity and equality of women?
All right, since we're talking about, in present government, we're talking about one nation and one platform, right? And with this one nation, one platform and equality and gender literacy when we're talking, and again connecting with how, we can be as a developing country, can take a lead when we're talking about economic empowerment. And I think that women comes with the spirit and the power, right? And with this power and spirit, a lot of interventions started taking place that in this digital empowerment, digital literacy and gender equality, what interventions are required that the women should be equally take part in a lot of subjects which is coming up that enhance them in that entrepreneurship, as I've mentioned, so that adding to the economic empowerment of a women and of a nation also. Again, point then encourage our women that they should be a part of that STEM, that science, technology, engineering, adding those skill set, and again they are adding to the skill development and also the economic empowerment of the nation along as a women Shakti. Again, we're talking about that how women can be encouraged to be a part of lot of R&D, the patents, the other initiatives where they can develop a lot of research and development.
In fact, you spoke about STEM, and it reminds me how India has the highest number of STEM graduates in the world.
Yes.
But why doesn't it translate to the higher level?
So that is what a regular, a reinforced intervention is required, where we just encouraging them to take that STEM and then convert it into this. Like, from my own experience, when I started my journey in the software development, very few women were there, right? And again, a lot of time I have been asked a question that in the cyber security, very few women, who's talking about the cyber security and this and that. So again, we pushing and encouraging people that with this STEM, with entrepreneur coming into this platform, and this is how you pushing, enhancing literacy also, digital literacy, somewhere addressing this inequality in this digital world, the gender inequality in this digital platform, and then we can say yes, in this G20, if this is the foremost objective, again we trying a lot of steps adding to this STEM, to entrepreneurship, to R&D.
So let's hope that in the years to come, Women's Day is only about celebrating the achievements of women and not talking about any kind of discrimination, be it in the physical world or be it in the digital world. So that having been said, I'll have to wind up the program. Time allows me to take up only that much on this edition of Perspective. I would like to thank all my guests once again for joining us on the program today and sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers. And to you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well. Wish you all a very happy International Women's Day and also a very happy Holi.